Hi there. Welcome to the University of Human Design podcast. My name is Eliana. I'm an emotional projector from the Netherlands. Here we discover the power of our unique human design. Each episode we dive into personal journeys of self-discovery and growth, sharing insights, mistakes and wisdom. And whether you're just starting out or have been on this path for a while, there's something here for you. So join us and let's explore together. Let's go. Welcome to this episode. Today we are thrilled to have a very warm guest with us, Wiebke Bruell. Wiebke lives in Germany and is not just an accomplished graphic designer, but also a dedicated human design guide. Since 2019, she has been on a unique journey, experimenting with her own design and helping others to discover theirs. As an emotional manifesting generator, Wiebke is designed to connect to the world in an open and impactful way. She has a lot of life force in her design. From a clear response, she can follow her own convictions in an authentic way and put her thoughts into deeds. She can also impact others with her skillful administration and fair distribution of material resources out of her personal integrity. After an invitation and with a clear response, she can also empower others with her commitment to higher principles, support her community with a balanced commitment between emotional support and determined commitment to work, and share her reflections on the meaning of completed experiences. Join us as we explore human design with Wiebke. Stay tuned for an enlightened conversation that promises to reshape the way you perceive yourself and the world around you. Welcome, Wiebke. So nice to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be your guest today.
Yeah, very lovely. I'm eager to dive into how you perceive human design, and I'm starting off with the question if there is a quote from Ra that makes impact on you, and if so, how?
I really like the way he structured human design, and I was really touched by the story Carol told us when she met in person, when she met Ra years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And being a manifester, it gave me so much more clarity about being a manifester, how it feels like when she told how he was teaching human design. And if he didn't feel well one day in the classroom with people, he could unconscious shut down his aura. He closed his aura.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a really direct voice,
Very
which
direct.
for some people might sound a bit harsh, but that resonates with me because my voice is almost the same. I'm very clear and very straightforward.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't feel for people well, but I'm just being honest and I can't talk other way. So
Yeah.
that resonated with me. And I'm very impressed about the system he structured this knowledge, which must have been such a amount of information
Yeah.
to put
Yeah.
it in this structure, which is very impressive. Yes.
It was a big download, I suppose. And then he spent years in trying to translate it back to human comprehension and a system which we can use to explore our unique potential. And if you remember, how did you first learn about human design and how did this come your way?
Good story. There was 5 years ago. I was on Instagram and it somehow crossed my way. And being a graphic designer, in the first moment, I thought has to do something about design because it's called human design. So I thought it's something about design. So I was curious and I gave it a look and I saw this body graph and I was completely irritated. And then I put it away. But it happened to be that it crossed three ways. My picture on the phone and on the laptop. So I gave it a second and a third look. And I dived a little bit deeper and then I was hooked. That's how the story began.
What hooked you?
At that time, I was 50. Let me see. I'm very bad with numbers. I guess I was about 50, 52 or something like that, 53. And I had all these questions, which probably a lot of people at this age or earlier are asking themselves about why am I here? What is my purpose? What are my strengths, my gifts? What am I here to do? And I was looking for answers.
Yeah.
And so I dived deep into human design just to get answers for myself. That was my first start.
Okay. And you said you got first you got irritated. Was that because you expected it to be something about design and it wasn't? And then at some point you got hooked. What hooked you?
Mm, I don't remember. I was reading a lot. You could find even then a lot on the internet about a lot of informations.
Yeah.
And I ordered, of course, I have a line number 51, which the one now I know. I didn't order one book. I'm looking at them at the moment. I think it's about 10 or 12 books I have. So I was diving into it and about the types, about my profile, and I knew instantly that I would get some answers or I would understand myself
Hmm.
better. And I like that it's all about energies, that it's not putting me into a drawer that
Yeah.
I'm this type and this type, that it's so complex and individual that and I'm really fast bored with systems that are easy, I guess. So
Yeah.
this is such a deep and never-ending experience that it's really yeah. And then when I discovered what it means for me, basically, it always takes time and it's a process. My first thought was this has everybody has to know it in the world. It has to,
Yeah.
has to be spread around the world. I can't keep it for myself. That was my second thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Lovely. I suppose a lot of us have that same feeling, that same drive to get it out there, and at the same time, is just for you. And the further you come in your design, the less you are inclined to just convict the whole world about the positive sides of human design, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And so I used the pandemic a lot on the laptop studying human design. And so I loved this years
Yeah.
basically because I was really occupied
Mhm.
with my personal development.
And at what point did you, because you really dove into it, studied it, and that's typical for a 5-1 profile, but at what point did you decide to really experiment with your strategy and authority?
Oh, much later.
Yeah.
Because of course, maybe because I'm German or maybe because my one profile, I thought, okay, so I have to learn it now deeper and I have to get a teacher or I have to book a program to make some programs and learn the basics. And so I did
Hmm.
at different teachers, a German Human Design Academy, as well as others with different um, how do you say? One was only for business, and then I made the living or design class. So I took all these different experiences to
Yeah.
study it further on. Yeah,
And what made you decide to experiment with your strategy and authority then?
because it was too much theory. In the beginning, it was food for my brain,
Yeah.
basically only. And
Hmm.
then, you know, if you dive in so many details, you forget about the basics. I forgot about the basics.
Yeah.
So at one point, I was like, okay, I heard this experiment, and you have to be in the experiment. It takes 7 years. So I was like wondering, yeah, but it's so logical. Why? What do they mean?
Yeah.
And then I heard it from other people as well. And everything in my life is about practice. I'm a very practical person. So that made sense for me that I have to experience it in my everyday life and in practice. So then I went back and took the focus only on living my strategy, responding.
Yeah.
and my authority, which is responding and inform, which is a huge part, and then making decisions, waiting for my emotional wave.
Yeah.
Only these two things I did for a long time and reflected and was very contemplational about it. Just what did I do today? Where did I react right? Where did I initiate it again? And so I guess that was a very important step. Besides learning about my sun and my earth and all the planets and all the lines and all the talents, that was a game changer, yes.
Yeah, there's so much mind candy in this system, and you can get completely distracted with all those little nuggets of information. And it's very brave of you to go back to strategy and authority. But do you recognize the impatience that comes with being a manifesting generator? Trying to impact first and respond later instead of waiting for the response?
Yes, I know. This balance between to be impatient and waiting to respond is a huge exercise, a challenge. Um, but when I do relax into it and I wait for the response or I let myself be guided,
Hmm.
it's so much in ease and flow with the day.
Yeah.
I just had it the other day. I had to go to the car garage to get something repaired. The light bulb of the car was broken, but then I forgot about it and I went to the lake for a walk. And then I said on the way back, oh, I will pass at that shopping mall because I need some groceries. And the moment I parked at the grocery store, I remembered that behind the building is our car repair shop. So I said, okay, so I will pass by the car repair shop as well. They exchanged the light bulb, and I had the grocery, I had the light bulb, and it was in ease, and it was in flow. There was no stress, no planning, no to-do list. So this is for me the flow
The flow.
when I'm in respond.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the generator, which is the basic type where the manifesting generator also belongs to, is here to discover themselves. And I'm eager to know, what did you discover about yourself in your experiment?
Oh, that's a lot. Maybe that's too long for this podcast.
3 podcasts.
A lot. And at the same time, I love to explore with other people their chart as well. So I'm really a servant in that part. But I did learn a lot that my how do you say that? I have to say it in German. Maybe you can say it in English. Ausstrahlung, radiance.
Your radiance,
Ah,
yeah.
my radiance, exactly. About my radiance, I learned a lot, and I learned about the channel 4521 I do have to the throat, which is this natural authority, which obviously is how people see me and recognize me.
Yeah.
And about I was really relaxing was this that I have so many projects I'm working on the same time or one after the other, but still, and that it's okay not to finish all of them. That was really to when I was reading that, I was like, oh my God, what a release. Because I'm always punishing myself if I don't finish something, or even if I'm doing some art, I bought a lot about some stamping techniques, and then 8 weeks later, I was like, oh, I don't really feel my sacral on fire doing that. So now I can just leave it and say, okay, there was an experience, and who knows what's next.
You're hopping from one thing to the other then, or?
Yes, like in my business at the moment, I'm doing websites, I'm doing human design, I do art, I do network. So there's, it's like 3 or 5 things, which sometimes is too much, then I know. And I also learned about my radiance, which is interesting now after being 5 years in the experiment. I haven't maybe I haven't listened to it earlier or haven't recognized it, but it's that people keep telling me my radiance is so motherly and so warm and trustful and all these things. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting because that's my gate 37 and 40.
Yeah.
And so then in these moments, I'm like, I'm so grateful because oh, okay, so I might be in my experiment and it might show in many ways. So,
Yeah.
and being a hero, that's also something I learned. And 5-1, this profile 5-1, which is projection field, it's in the beginning hard to understand what people mean when they say that. But as an example, for my parents, I can do 10 things right, bringing to the hospital, being a hero, changing all the clocks in the house, 10 things I can do perfectly right. And then one thing I might be not available or something went wrong. And then I'm the anti-hero, at the moment.
You're burnt at the stake, like the Harry.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I'm like, what? What about the other 10 times it went, it went good. But then it's kind of people forget about it. And then I'm like just a bad person. So now it's all about consciousness. So I'm much more conscious in situations like this. So I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. That's a 5-1. So now I know again. So I can go with it with a much more ease.
It can also work in your favor, though, right?
Oh yes, yes, yes. People always say, "Oh, if you cannot do it, I don't know who can." And they keep asking me, even in the supermarket or foreigner people, they keep asking me, "Oh, can you please help me doing this or doing this or doing this?" I'm like, "Okay, you know." Now I know that if my sacral is has a positive response, I will, and I can also say no, which is kind of a challenge as well, still.
Yeah.
Because I can help everybody, basically. The question is just, do I want to do it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then you being emotional, I can imagine you do not really have a clear response at that second you are asked in the supermarket.
Yes. But
How do
then
you?
I just, it depends on the tone of voice they ask me. It depends on the person, how they ask me. It's this very fine tunes between the words, and it's a feeling. And if it resonates with me, then it's fine. And if not, I probably look very irritated and not inviting. So,
And
so
tell them to fuck
I
off.
guess my face speaks a lot too. That's a generator part. You can see my face directly if it's a no or if it's a yes, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating, right?
Well, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But no, yes,
Well,
that's
it can
true.
be quite challenging to abide to your yes or no, because maybe in the beginning of your experiment, you recognized that it was you had your yes or your no, but you weren't really comfortable with telling other people your yes or your no.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
So, what was helpful for you to stay with your yes or your no? Um,
To give me, if it's possible, if it's bigger things, to give me a little bit of time so I can feel into it and see if it's a yes or if it's a no. Yeah. But it really depends if it's something very little or if it's a huge commitment to help somebody in a way. Like just now, somebody wrote me a WhatsApp if I could retune or refine the logo, a new logo he wants to create for his business. And it's just subtle little changes. And he said, "Oh, I love your style and all that stuff." And I think I know he's honest. He's not being, how do you say that? So,
Complimentary.
yeah, yeah, complimentary. So, so I said, I pretty fast said yes because, yeah, it felt right. So So that's not so difficult anymore. It's more that people expect me to be this hero, you know. So I'm like, oh, why me? And how could you think about that? So I'm really amazed about that still.
And based on your design, where did you get the part of being a hero from? A channel or a profile or a combination of things?
Oh yes, for everybody who's new in human design, it's my profile, which is on the conscious side, a 5, and the 1 on the unconscious side. Yes. So
when called and when correct for you, you can really, from a clear foundation of knowledge, that's the one, come with some practical solutions.
yes.
That's the
Yes.
5. Yeah.
Yes. Everything is about practical. I love it has to be practical. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what I'm doing, and I need to explain it also practical in a way. Yes.
Yeah. And did you unlearn things about yourself? Things you thought you were and then you turned out not to be?
Mm, yes, I think in these years of experiment, a lot of things I was conscious about. Also that about this spiritual side, which I have also this. There are some gates in the chart that are related to how do you say, higher knowing or hearing or the senses, this higher senses.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that's kind of interesting. And this
Were you a spiritual person before human design?
yes, but in a way, yes, I knew Joe Dispenza and all that stuff. I make gratefulness exercise every day, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But learning about energies, what happens when I'm in the aura of somebody else and they are in my aura, this, this energetic, it's all about energies. That's kind of was very interesting and fascinating, and all these coherences, or however you can call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then discovering when in aura with somebody else and being in your own aura, you have all these parts of your chart that connect you to some higher knowing, higher hearing, inner wisdom.
Yes. Yes. And that's what people like. I'm in another business mentoring program, and they don't know me from before, but now they know me since January. And it's interesting what they say because they don't know me. So they
Mm-hmm.
keep saying like I'm this old wise one who knows everything. I could do everything. I'm like, uh, so that's very interesting. In a good way, they don't mean this old woman, but this old wise woman. It's kind of interesting and
Mm-hmm.
funny. And
Yeah,
yeah,
as a society, we really lost our um in Holland we call it the kroon, the wise woman coming into her own wisdom, creativity, and just sharing with younger women how it is to be a woman. And we associate older women with old hags or just gray, dull, saggy old
yes,
thing, no longer relevant. And
yes.
I really love the way you uh, just go back to being yourself and being of worth.
Yes. And what I love about the 5, and that's really something I discovered, that it's for me easy to hold big groups. I love Zooms when there's 50, 60 people in it or more. It's no
Yeah.
problem. I can sense, maybe that's, I mean, for me, oh, this word is difficult. Spirituality is my goal is that it's as normal as brushing my teeth every day. I don't make a big fuss about it. It's just a part of life, and it should be just a normal part of everybody's life, I think. But the 5, this I'm for many people. I made from and in my design also for people who have heard about Penta or team channels. I'm very open there, so I made for big groups. And when I heard that first, I'm like, what? But I feel very comfortable with standing in front of huge groups, talking, speaking, or even in the Zoom with 50 or 60. That gets my energy on fire. I love that actually.
That's so very cool.
And I discovered, like when I was on the business congress on the weekend, that it's easy for me that I connect easily with women or people that are in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s, no matter what age. It's not that, I'm now 57. It's not that I'm only meeting people at my age. No, it appears that I can attract or reach out to every generation kind
Do
of
you
thing.
recognize that in your life as well?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
So I have an influence, no? I guess that's what the 5 is. I can have an influence on people that connect with me any age. So that's something I learned about. That must be the 5. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm a bit envious about that because my 2-4 has a hell no on big groups. But it's lovely to observe others with the 5th line in their profile and working with big groups, or also working the internet, working with people they do not know, and just utilizing that projection field to just get the message about human design across. I really love that.
Yeah, and that's what I always say to my clients, Eliana, that everybody has the correct design, and there's no point about being envy or to say, oh,
Absolutely.
I wish I would be a manifestor or whatever. No, it's completely correct the way your design is. And with your 4 profile, you just love probably meeting offline in groups. You need this touching, this groups, this feeling. I have a lot of clients I work with branding and human design, and they have a 2-4 profile now. I don't know why, but it's been the last 3 or 4 clients with the same profile,
Funny.
and they all have the desire to make workshops or retreats in physic
Mhm.
offline.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah. So everything about design has its merits, but especially when you start, it's just like getting used to not comparing yourself to others and just seeing everything is correct as it is, not to be improved, and works for you if you just let it. And when I say envious, it's more like I really sometimes would love to be another person just to experience how it is to have that 5th line or have that sacral. It's more like a curiosity to explore other people, but it could be my projectorness, right?
yes, probably is. Yeah.
So, for the people listening and maybe being at the beginning of their journey, could you give some practical examples of how your strategy and authority work?
Okay. For example, my authority is emotional. That means that the emotional center is colored in, which is on the right side, the triangle on the right side on the body graph.
Mm-hmm.
So that means basically that I'm always having emotional waves. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low, sometimes they're depending on the gates, but I have more, not very, very highs and very lows, but it depends on the transits, as many factors. So when, for example, in the practice, when a girlfriend asked me if I go with her on vacation with a tent in 2 weeks or something, and if I'm in a good mood at that day, I'm like, yes, yes, of course, I'm coming right away. And the next morning I wake up and I'm like, oh no, did I say yes?
Why did I say yes?
I don't really want to go. No. So that's what happened. So now when I'm conscious, I said I said, well, I will think about it. I call you, or, I will tell you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So giving myself a little bit of time
Mhm.
because I might regret it. And since I have a defined ego center as well, which is a little triangle almost in the middle, um, and if I said to her, I'm coming, I will pull it through because I don't want to be not reliable. And then it takes me energy. then it's not giving me energy, this trip. It will actually take energy from me because
you will use your willpower
yeah,
or misuse your willpower to make a commitment, not based on your sacral motor or your emotional clarity.
exactly.
Yeah. So in this example, you waited for somebody to invite you to come with on a vacation. So you didn't initiate it, right?
No, I didn't initiate it.
No.
I had an example. Let me think. What was it? Oh, yes, with this retreat in Holland.
Yeah.
It was this very special subject. I don't know if I can mention it in your podcast. I was I, wa- um, I was reading a book a couple of years ago. A German woman wrote this book. She prepared herself 2 years to go on an ayahuasca trip in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know what it was. So I was reading, what is this? And oh, okay, interesting. Healing medicine in South America. And something hooked me at this. I don't know why. It just did something. And I said to myself, well, one day I have to do it. But then I forgot about it. In my old days, I would have gotten in the internet. I did actually in the beginning. It was very in the beginning of my experiment. I went into the internet. I was searching all retreats with a subject and costs and everything. And I was frustrated in the end because they were even too expensive or didn't match the time or I didn't know the people. And then I did let it go. I forgot about it. And then last year in Greece, being in Greece with a couple of team members, Alexandra said to me, well, do you know, Wiebke, that Ruben is doing a retreat in Holland? And I'm like, what? He? So I immediately knew that he's trustful and experienced. And my sacral was like, yes, I'll
Yeah.
go. And it's just an hour from my hometown, which is very close. So then I was responding instead of initiating. And
Yeah.
it was the right response because I went there. There was a perfect timing. It was a perfect environment when they pulled out the cards. It was my same set of cards I have at home. So all this little science, the same music on my playlist. So I felt I'm at the right time, on the right space I have to be. And then it is the flow, which is really relaxing, not initiating.
Yeah.
Not looking 10 hours in the internet on trying to find something, being frustrated if it doesn't, and then being impatient, frustrated. This is this mix. And then I'm like, oh, then I'm getting angry. Also, this is the manifesting generator part. So that was a good example of just reacting. For me, the manifesting part is really manifesting. That's what I do all the time. But that's with my words, with my thoughts,
Okay.
and with what I write down. Like, for example, I always wanted to have a garden. I said to my husband, oh, it's nice to have a house one day with a garden where I can grow vegetables. And sometimes you have to do the first step and then the universe will follow. So I had this idea of the garden in the house, and then, I didn't think about it anymore. I let it go. And then one day I came home and there's across the road here, there's all like one family homes and retired people, a lot of old people. We are probably one of the youngest. And then I was looking at this piece of garden on the other side of the road, which this owner used to grow something, but he's obviously too old and nobody used this part of land. So I was asking the other neighbor, do you think I could borrow or not borrow, lend it and grow my vegetables? And he said, well, I will ask him. And then I went on holidays. I forgot about that too. And then when I came back, he said, oh, I did ask him. And he said, it's fine. Do you want me to introduce him to? And I said, yes, of course. And he's 92 and his wife too. And he's like all happy. He said, yeah, yeah, you can grow, you can do whatever you want. And I said, yes, and I will share what I harvest. And he's like, no, no, I don't want anything. It's fine. So I have a garden, not the way exactly I connected it with the house, but also the house came, but on the other side of the road. So that's very crazy.
Wow.
And this is for me manifesting. This is my manifesting part, the way I understand it.
You
And
also had a response to the garden when walking,
yes,
right?
exactly. That was my response. And then I have to do an action step. And
Yeah.
that was asking the neighbor, do you think I can, instead of driving with my car out to the farmers and grow my vegetables somewhere in the countryside?
Yeah.
So that was an action step. Yes, it always needs an action step. I cannot sit there and just meditate. And yes. And so this is the way it happened in the flow. And the same with the house. My husband said there was this house, a woman died, and he said, oh, this is, if we can get this house, we don't need to buy anything else. And she died. And I didn't manifest that house from the inside, only from the outside.
Oh.
The area is fine. The house from the out is cute. It's a little cute house. It's a garden and everything. And it's so crazy what happened. I told this woman at the beginning, oh, we're interested, but she obviously forgot about it. And then like
Yeah.
a year later, I met her again and I was like, oh, no, you do have new neighbors. And she's like, no, I don't have anybody. Are you interested? And I said, yes. In renting? We said, yes. And then she invited us to look at the house. And the minute I was inside, we realized it's not made for us.
Yeah.
My husband is like a Dutch guy. He's like over 2 meters. And
Yeah.
the shower is like a tiny shower. He cannot even stand up straight.
Shower for hobbits.
For hobbits, a hobbit house,
Yeah.
exactly. And you have to remodel everything.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
from 1936, but not an old house. It's just, very poor material. Actually, you have to. And so we said no. And yesterday she asked us if we want to buy it as well. So,
Oh.
this is, I put the focus on the house and it worked, but I have to manifest in every detail. That's what I learned for me, for my type. You can
I love the
also,
way you say it has to be an action step and it
yes.
has to be detailed, precise, clear.
Well, with a clear, I thought because of the arrows in human design, which is the arrow on the right side on the bottom, it's in my case, it points to the right direction. And to the left, sorry, to the left direction, which means manifesting in every detail and very exact. So if I don't, then I get something kind of, but not exactly. So yes, so this is for me manifesting, and even the universe gave me a sign, which one day they exchanged the street signs with the where they put the part of the town on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to tell to friends when they ask me, where do you live now? And I used to say Herrenstrunden, which is a neighbor town, because I thought nobody knows the town we live in, which is Asselborn. So I always said Herrenstrunden, years, when they asked me, unconsciously. And then actually 2 years ago, they exchanged the signs here on one side of the little street, on the other two to Herrenstrunden. And nobody of the neighbors knows why. This is so spooky. So I said, okay, it's a proof that it works. So now I just have to
Manifested
trust.
it.
Yes, I did manifest it. So I just have to trust that it also works in big scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
So,
that's for me the manifesting part. So, and
and
this anger also, this when things don't work or something, then it's not only frustration, it's also this anger. Yes.
people getting into your way, you getting slowed down,
Yes. Oh,
cramping
yes.
style, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. So you
Yes.
said the variables, the arrows on your chart, because it's a left variable for you, you manifest specifically
Mm-hmm. Yes.
when it's a right arrow. And it's quite a bit advanced knowledge, but if people are listening and they know about variable, they can check it out for themselves if they are a manifesting generator. And if you are at the start of your journey, please just focus on your strategy, authority, your type, because variables will get you in a rabbit hole you can't get out of. And it
Yes.
won't be of any service if you're not aligned on your correct path. So that disclaimer being noted, how do you recognize your signature? Because the signature for the manifesting generator is a satisfaction, but a bit combined with a bit of peace, right?
Mm. Yeah, and I would say also joy.
Ah,
If I'm not on fire, um, then it's probably um, yeah. If I'm doing, for me, it's because maybe I've a lot of individual channels. My work is very satisfying. When I do the work I love, it's very satisfying. And then I'm in peace. Yes, with me and my life and everything. Exactly.
And when you have the other part of the signature, like the frustration and anger you talked about,
Mm.
how do you recognize that?
Yes, for example, in practice, I did a project with a friend. She's a generator, a pure generator, and she is much more interested in the process, and she was slower. Well, or the other side, it's not nothing is better or worse or wrong or right.
Only
But
difference.
but once I'm working on something, I'm very fast. I'm like a speed train. And then she kept asking me questions which put the brakes in at full power, the little red button you pull in the train, it goes like "Peet."
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So I'm out of my creative process, and to get this passion again, this joy again is very, very energy consuming. And then I was angry. I'm like, oh, why do you have to ask me this now? It's like I don't want to be interrupted. And then this anger comes up. It could be also that somebody calls on the phone when I'm really deep into designing in my work or working something. It just a phone call could be also um, has the same effect, or somebody asking me, or for example, if I love cooking, I'm very intuitive in cooking. Whatever there is, I will create something new, and I love it's for me, it's meditation. And then of course, then the kitchen looks like a bomb. I just leave everything and I'm cooking. And when my husband comes behind my back and already starts putting the wastes away, that makes me completely angry. And it's so annoying to me because it disturbs my process. I can clean it up once I'm finished with the dinner, but not in the process.
You do not want to have anybody stop you in your tracks
Yes,
when you are in your flow and
exactly.
in your fire zone full of joy, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's a nice example. Thank you. So as a wrap up, if you would like to give people some advice who are at the beginning of their experiments, what would you tell them?
I would tell them the strategy and authority first. Yes. And maybe just be aware or try to feel your openness in your chart. If you have like 6 centers open and only 3 defined, it's a lot of energy you take in, and just watch it. How do you feel in the aura of other people, and just to get a feeling for your own um, energy field. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Yeah,
and
because the openness that are our most vulnerable parts. And when we start exploring human design, we usually go to type and what's on the body graph, and we overlook the white because it's not colored in. And it's as much important as is the life energy that's flowing through your chart, right?
yes, and this is little easy steps also. Like, I mean, a lot of people are generators, so always look: are you in your joy or are you frustrated? And then just see, okay, why am I frustrated? Am I doing work I don't like? Because a frustrated generator, nobody wants to be around a frustrated generator. But if you're in your joy, you're so magnetic to other people. That's really, and if you're a manifester, just watch, where are you informing? Are you informing the people who are affected by your next steps? Or are you not? Why are you not? Are these little things, even me, I have to inform, which was a really difficult part in the beginning. My daughter always was a mirror. She said, "My mom, why didn't you tell me earlier?" And I'm like, well, it wasn't booked, or I can wait until it's booked and safe. Why should I tell it a few weeks before? for me, it didn't make sense. But for her, she was always very irritated when I just tell her a day before I leave the house or something like that. And she's like, what? Where does it come from? So these little things like informing for manifestors, for the generator with a joy, for the projector. Did you wait for an invitation? Did you feel invited, or did you just um, told your insights to the other person who didn't want to hear it? And so, yes, that would be the basics.
Yeah, at the beginning of my experiment as an emotional projector, I was so eager to get the invitations. I was so very happy to have, oh, goody, I have an invitation. I was like a puppy. And then along the years, I find out that there's a difference in the kind of invitations you get, because it's like the difference between, oh yeah, you can come along if you like, or I would love to have you come over or come along. It's such a big difference also in the way the energy supply comes to me. If people kind of want me there, I'm not going to be there.
Yes, that's very true. And for generators, which are at least 70% with manifesting generators, it is responding as a just watch yourself. Where are you initiating things, and how did they turn? Are you, is it a fight? Life doesn't have to be a fight. It has to be in the flow, and that comes when you trust. But that needs a trust in a very deep, deep trust that the things will show up, the right people, the right things, and the right timing. But that needs trust that it will happen, and then it's in a flow. It's such a ease. But just observing everybody, observing yourself. Where are you initiating, and when are you responding?
Yeah.
Just to make it, maybe journal it every day, or so just it's not to make you feel bad or better. It's just an observant to observe it.
To start your experiment by noticing when you do it. And it's not like you should always do it correct from the moment you decide to experiment, but you just watch yourself, you say.
Yes, of course. It even happens to me today that I'm initiating sometimes, and then I'm not taking it so serious. I'm like, Wiebke, look, did initiate, so no wonder.
Here
So
we go again.
yes, here we go again. It's all about consciousness. Also to be conscious, that's all about it. And also to be, for me, it was a big learning to be in peace with people who are slower.
Mhm.
Yes, to learn to work with people who are slower, to accept that people are slower sometimes, and that I can be a humiliar. Yes.
Yeah. And the generator aura is such a magical aura because it attracts everything to it, the correct things. So if you get to that point that you really trust those things coming to you, it could give you the potential to really respond, but then you have to get your mind to the place where you're trusting that what you are attracting is correct, right?
Yes. For example, my daughter just called. She's 24, and she said to me, because we're doing once a year, we do a mother-daughter vacation every year. So this year we said in the beginning we make a wellness kind of week in Austria. So that we talked about it, and she's like, "Oh, maybe in the sun, maybe in the wellness and the Austria." So now I did send the intention out, but I'm not going into the internet right now and trying to book something. But I'm kind of waiting and trusting that it will come. I'm, just, but that needs patience and trust, and that's the challenge about it. So that's the intention we have. A week in Austria and a wellness and spa, maybe in the mountains, where it's very in the nature, detox, digital detox, and all that. And yes, so I will wait a little bit. No, I'm not initiating now, and I know we will find something. Maybe a friend calls me and tells me where she was or whatever it is. So that's a good example about the practice.
Absolutely. And especially the generator aura combined with the solar plexus, because when the solar plexus being is willing to wait, it only makes them more attractive to what comes to them, right?
Yes, 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 it's probably that
So
way.
it will come
So,
again and again and again, just until the point that you are clear and have a clear response ongoing. So, Wiebke, thank you so very much for being so generous in sharing your experiences and your personal stories, and your very warm and enthusiastic presence. So, thank you so very much for being in this podcast.
yeah, thank you for inviting me. And I hope all the listeners now that it was helpful for you, that you can take some nuggets, some tips, and put it also into practice. And I hope it could inspire you. And that's my motivation, to empower and inspire in this world. And yes, and I wish you all the best on your experience way with human design.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through human design. We've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope you found our discussions enlightening and inspiring. If you are eager to dive into any of the topics we've touched on, remember that we have a wealth of additional resources waiting for you in the show notes. They could be in the native language of the guest and host. Until the next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep embracing the beauty of your uniqueness. Thank you, love yourself, and enjoy the ride. Bye for now.